everybody. Very warm welcome to Amazing You podcasts and YouTube channels. And I want to say a big thank you to all the people who are regularly watching, sharing, and subscribing. This is the channel where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of hope and inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And today, whether you are dealing with a health challenge or a professional setback or personal struggle, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there's a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared, everyone, to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life's challenges. So this is Amazing You channel, where hope takes center stage. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani. I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am a Mars Venus life and relationship coach, breathwork coach, astrologer, tarot reader, past life regression practitioner, and life force compassion practitioner. And today I have the immense pleasure to introduce you to a very special lady. Her name is Dina Marais. Dina is the founder of Soul Purpose Publishing and Coaching. She is a 6-time International Bestselling Author, publisher of 3 bestsellers, Soul Aligned Manifesting Coach, and she's also an artist. So very warm welcome, Dina, to Amazing You.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I am really excited to hear more about you because your bio is so inspiring. And I would like you to share with us how you transition from a career in IT to a career in coaching and publishing. Can you share with us, Dina, what inspired this big shift in your career path?
Well, although I was very good at IT, it was never really my passion.
Okay.
And one day I learned about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yes.
And I fell in love immediately. I just knew this was for me. I had to do this. And so I did some courses. I became a practitioner and then a master practitioner, and then, carried on from there. And then at that time as well, the timing with my kids was such that I could actually go into the coaching full time. And, but coming from IT, it has helped me so much because just after I did the NLP practitioner course, the certification, I immediately designed my own program. So this was now coming from IT. To design courses and online courses and programs is just really second nature to me. So I just a quick little tale. I remember one. It was a Friday night, and I was doing an IT project, and I was supposed to work half days, but this was now Friday evening at 7 p.m. And my 3-year-old called me and said, "Mommy, when are you coming home?" So I spoke to my husband and we decided, no, this is not on. And shortly after that, I resigned and just focused on the coaching. yeah, that's how I ended up in NLP and then coaching. And from there, I did so much development in that.
That is wonderful. Thank you. And when you were saying that at the beginning, when you realized that IT is not something that you really like, it wasn't your passion, how? Because I'm sure there are people listening and who would like to know how you knew that was not your passion. What were the hints that made you feel that this is not for you anymore? How did you know that, Dina?
I think that Monday morning feeling after the weekend, and IT was it is a very demanding profession. It takes all of you. I rarely had time to, for myself. It was always unpredictable. I had to work sometimes over many, many, many weekends, late nights. And I think it just became such a chore in the end that I knew there must be something else. But I also, it has always been a belief of mine that we're not here to do one thing in this life. We are multi-talented and we have many passions. So, yeah, explore. If something doesn't feel right to you anymore, it feels like a chore. It feels like it's draining you. You don't have the passion that when you started. Maybe it's time to move on and look for what is your next passion. What else are you talented for, or that you would like to learn?
Yes, I think these are great questions to ask ourselves whenever we have that Monday blues.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to sit down and ask ourselves questions, when something does or doesn't go right. It's so important to reflect on our own day. So self-reflection is very important to help you to think about how things were, how you felt about things in your body, and to see is that something that you really want. I thank you so much, Dina, for sharing that. And can you describe to us the moment or the experience when you knew that you were on the right path with your new career?
Wow. I think the best thing for me was really learning so much about myself that I didn't know. If we don't become aware of ourselves, then we operate on autopilot. We need to become aware. We need to be able to, as you say, reflect. We need to be able to observe ourselves and really question, is this me? Do I really believe this? Is this really my true self? So for me, I grew up with really not believing in myself, thinking I'm not good enough. So through getting to know myself, through NLP and neurosemantics and everything else that followed that, I really learned to start appreciating myself and to love myself and accept myself. And I also realized that I'm not alone. Like about every person, I truly believe that every one of us have suffered to some degree trauma in our childhood, even if it's just from the perspective of being a child. And subsequently have beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, etc., etc., etc. And for me, what really rang true for me is when I helped my first client in the practice rounds. in the course of becoming a practitioner, and she had such an amazing light bulb moment. So, that feeling that we get as coaches, there's nothing like it. When you really touch someone's core so deeply that they have a transformation, an instant transformation just there. And I realized that there's a lot of work to be done, because most adults, I would maybe be very generalized to say all adults, but I will say most adults have some kind of hang up about something they don't like about themselves. And I think that is so important for us to realize, and actually realize where we come from and who we really are. Because we look against a wall at our humanity, but we don't see our divinity. And that this life, this experience is a blip in who we really are. We are already perfect. This is just experience. We are coming here to experience life on earth. And we are just so much more than we think we are.
That is so true. Thank you, Dina, for sharing that. I love when you say that we are just more than just human. We are here to discover our divinity within us. And that is so true. While being human in that physical body, it's also about discovering the divinity. It's about all the gifts, the talents that have been put in your heart there, and to help you realize that you are more powerful than what you just think you are. You are powerful beyond measure. Yes.
Absolutely.
When you start to do the inner work, like you said, like when we look at we heal from those inner wounds, from those childhood wounds, sometimes from the past life as well. And it really helped to bring that divinity to help us live to our highest potential and use all those gifts and talents, not only for ourselves, but to help each other along the way,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Rani. To walk each other home. I always use that phrase, to walk each other home to ourselves.
That is beautiful. That is so true. To walk each other home. Yes. Because I like when you said that, because it's about us going back to where we came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking about finding your purpose, and it's so interesting because your publishing company is called Soul Purpose Publishing and Coaching. Can you share with us, Dina, what inspired you to start your publishing and coaching company?
Well, the coaching I started many years ago.
Okay.
And regarding the publishing, many years ago, I read the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Yes. And it really touched me. And I made a wish to the universe. I said, I would love to write stories like this to inspire people. And but of course, I forgot about that. And then one day, out of the blue, I received this opportunity to do a masterclass to see if I would like to start my own publishing business.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I had a physical reaction in my body. I just knew this is me. This was divinely brought to me. And definitely so, because I couldn't at that point do the program, do the course. It had to come by me 3 times. And I realized, okay, my soul is saying, okay, wake up. You got to do this. So I enrolled and I did the course. And 3 months later, my first book, I published my first book. And it's the most magical experience for everyone involved. The writer, the reader, for me, the publisher. It's just beautiful. It was so transformational for everyone. So and it's such a compliment to what I'm doing in terms of working with entrepreneurs to manifest their highest goals, their visions of what they have for their business. And for me, a number one strategy is to become a best-selling author. Because you really stand out. There's only about 1% of the population who ever actually do that, to take the time to write and be published. So, yeah, I love it. And I love the combination of the publishing and the coaching.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dina. And I think it goes well together because a lot of coaches, they want to get their story out. And also it helps to inspire people because not only you don't need to be a coach, but if you want to share your story, it is really healing to tell your story, to write your story. So I would really encourage people because it helps you to be vulnerable, to open your heart, and to share things maybe that you've never heard, that you've never expressed to anybody in your story. And I would really, really encourage the audience to look into that. You don't need to be a coach to write a book. Actors, actresses, a lot of people, politicians, they have their own autobiography, so you can have yours too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning, Dina, that you wrote your first book. Would you like to tell us a bit more about that first book? What was the message that you wanted the audience to understand in that book, and what is that book about?
Well, in my first book, I also participated in a multi-author book. That was my first introduction, and I think that is why it's so meaningful to me, because I never thought of writing anything until that opportunity came by. And that opportunity came by a number of years before I started my publishing business. So at that stage, I was just participating. So that book was called Love Unboxed.
Okay.
And it was the subtitle was something like the trials, the trials and triumphs of the love journey, of your love journey, or something like that. So I wrote in there about self-love. And it was also a bestseller in all the countries. And I really think that that experience was so transformational for me. And that's what I found with every book and people sharing their stories, because as you said, Rani, that, you have to go back. When you write about yourself, you have to go back. You have to remember. And time heals everything. So looking at your story a number of years after you had the experience, childhood or a previous experience, it gives you a total different perspective on what happened. Because when you're in it, when you're in the frame, you're in the photo, you don't see the frame.
Yes.
But when you can step out and you can look at this from a distance, even if you go back, you see it differently. You see the other players in your story from a whole different perspective. You see them from so much love. And you also see that you yourself was maybe not so perfect as you thought at that time that you were, that you were. So reflecting back on our stories is absolutely crucial for us to grow spiritually. Because when we do that, when we go back, we can see that whatever experience we had was not against us. It was actually for us. It was necessary for our own growth, for our own spiritual or personal growth. And in hindsight, there's always a blessing. And that is what the universe says, is that within every adversity there is the seed of the blessing that you can't see at that moment, but there is a seed of a blessing there right for you. And we can see that in hindsight when we choose to actually go back and look at what happened.
That is really true. Thank you for sharing that, Dina, because the challenging times, it's not there to kill us, It's just there to help us to see the lesson and what is it teaching us to help us to grow, because every challenge is here to help us grow and become a better version of ourselves, even though it's super painful. When we are in that challenge, we can't see anything, just the dark cloud. But when we sit back and look at it few years after, we can see that, yeah, this thing has taught me something great about me. So there is a quote, I can't remember it. It said to look for the silver lining. Yeah.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Yes. Would you please share with the audience, for people today who are listening and who are watching us and who are facing some tough times, Dina, what advice or practical suggestions would you offer them that they can apply to help themselves to navigate and overcome the adversity?
First of all, is to realize that you are not the adversity. It is an experiencing that is happening. And as we just said, it's happening actually for us, although we can't see it at that point. However, we create our own world. We create our lives every moment of every day. And how we do that is through how we think and how we feel. And then we take action on that state. I always say, if you think of the mind as a supply chain, or the supply chain of the mind, you think and then you feel. Because every thought has got an associated emotion. Okay, so what you think, and the great way to determine to become self-aware is to become really aware of how you're feeling. So the moment you feel off, the moment you feel a low vibration emotion of like fear or anger or shame or guilt, dissatisfaction, disappointment, all of those, is to check your thinking. What am I thinking at this point? And you will find that you're probably, rehashing something of the past that is already gone. You can't do anything about that. Or you are projecting the future. And all of this are based on assumptions. Because we assume so much. We draw conclusions. And your brain is very clever in actually helping you with those conclusions. Because if you have a pattern of creating worst case scenarios, then it will help you to see the worst case scenario. And of course, then you can be in that cycle. So you have to really sit and think about what it is that you really, really want. What do you want? If you can park this mess that you are in, or the circumstances, or the challenge, what do you really want? And then what does that look like? What do you have to believe about yourself to have that? Because we are always occupying two vibrational realities at the same time. This is the one where you are now, that feels familiar, even though it's miserable, but that's what you know. And then we have a higher vibrational reality of where you want to be. These are two different realities, two different worlds of how you think, feel, and act totally differently in these two realities. And it's your choice on where do you want to actually operate. So if you can adapt the law, the universal law, that number one, you are not your thoughts, you have thoughts. You are not your emotions, you have emotions. You are not your past, everyone has a past. Everyone makes mistakes. There's no one that cruises through life, okay? And that you have the power to change your life just by changing your thoughts. So if you have a vision that you can really fall in love with and dream about that vision all the time, then I promise you, you will change your life. But what we tend to do is we dream, we wake up and we do meditation, and then we dream about the new reality. And the next moment we leave the meditation, we fall down. Something triggers you, and of course, your ego is so good at doing that, triggers you so that you can react with an emotion that you feel the fear or guilt or shame. And what you need to train yourself, and every one of us can do this with discipline, is not to react. I love what this one client of mine says. She says, everything that happens, she says, wow. She just says, wow. And that gives her a second just to step back for a moment and not react, so that she can really look at this and say, is this emotion really true? Or how do I choose to feel about this? And it takes discipline. It's a practice. It's not a quick fix. We have decades of, I always say, your old paradigm is like, they're like highways in your brain. You have, when you are starting to think anew about you, who do you need to be to live in that reality? It's little beautiful, fresh kind of little flowers that you are growing. You need to water them. You need to attend to them. And then these other highways of the weeds will just fizzle out over time. That's the best I can. Have a vision, focus on that. Train yourself to focus on that.
Thank you so much, Dina. That is so beautifully said. And where can the listeners and those who are watching, where can people find out more about your work, and how can they connect with you, Dina?
I think the best way, the easiest way is to go to my website, dinamarais.com. And there you will see everything that I do. There is also a support little button if you want to send me an email. And of course, there's I've got two free guides that you can sign up for if you would like to join my email list. But yeah, I would love for you to actually come and see what I'm up to.
Thank you, Dina. And my last question to you, any final thoughts or messages that you would like to share with our audience today?
If you are a coach or an entrepreneur of any kind, the number one strategy for you to stand out from the crowd is to become a best-selling author. And there are very easy ways for you to actually accomplish that. Through a multi-author book, and I'm always busy with one, enrolling people for my multi-author books. And joining that it's a great first step. Or if you already have written a book, or you would like to have half written it and you want to continue writing it, also look me up. We can discuss where you are and what you need to go forward. And if you're not a coach or an entrepreneur, you're not interested in writing, is to have a vision for yourself of what it is that you want to create in your life, and to know that you are here for a reason. You are not an accident. You are here for a very specific reason. And what I've learned in human design is that you have an energetic blueprint that you came with when you came into this life. And you have a soul contract. We all have a soul contract that we have come actually here to fulfill. So follow your intuition, look at what you really, really want, and absolutely go for it, because there is absolutely nothing that is off limits. If we can just believe, we can really achieve anything.
Thank you, Dina, for sharing these words of wisdom and these very powerful words to the audience. And I want to remind the audience and to share that with you, that you are amazing, no matter what. You are powerful beyond measure. And I will say big thank you to Dina for taking the time, Dina. Really, really appreciate you and to be part of your community. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. And big thank you to the audience. This month is 3 years, this June 2024, since I've been doing the podcast and the YouTube channel. So big thank you to everybody. Thanks to all of you for watching, for sharing, and for subscribing. So we'll see you soon with some other videos. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.